Yes! Welcome back to the final edition of our inaugural season of Covered in Glory. I am your co-host, Toby Mergler, and with me is Brett Corominos. How you doing today, Brett?
Oh, the last dance with Toby Mergler this year. It's a bittersweet moment. I'm excited to do the pod. I'm sad that the season's going to be over in 2 days. I guess we got some World Cup qualifiers, but yeah, mixed emotions over here, buddy.
Yeah. Well, speaking of mixed emotions, obviously everybody who's recording here at the Extra Points Network is doing so with a heavy heart this week after what happened a couple of 100 miles down the road from me here in Austin. I've got a fourth grader in the Texas public school education system, but that doesn't matter. I mean, in a tragedy like this, we're all Americans. Even when it hits home, it hits everywhere. So our thoughts are with the victims. I'm not going to get too much into the politics of it, but let's just say if you go back and listen to Kevin Hench on this week's episode of -3, I was nodding along. But overall, you're really not here to hear our talks about the senseless tragedy that happened. And I hope that we can find just a little bit of distraction in this sport that we love. So let's all look forward to Saturday, look forward to having something not other than that to think about for 2 hours, and then make your voices heard after that. So I will say, Brett, I am feeling a whole lot better than I was last week. I got a little more pep in my step. I got a little more bass in my voice, and my health is good, but I'm not over my Premier League fever. I mean, what a way to wrap up the season. Holy hell. Do you remember a Saturday or a Championship Sunday that good?
The Aguero one is probably the one that stands out, obviously, right? But yeah, I mean, you talk about things that help you escape from the shittiness of the world, man. Last weekend was awesome because it was both the big races that we talked about, the title race and then the relegation race, came down right to the wire. Cornet scored for Burnley to make things really interesting against Newcastle. And then, that Jack Harrison goal, which was awesome, awesome moment. You can see how much it meant to the team, to the fans, Jesse Marsch, that's why you watch the sport. That's why anybody who wants things to be a playoff system, it's a build up. The whole season builds to those moments. And then in 5 minutes, the title race completely turns around. I mean, that was wild. I mean, it wasn't the last second Aguero goal, but that was something that I don't know if we will ever see that again on a deciding Sunday. I just don't even see how that's possible. They scored 3 goals in 5 minutes to completely turn around the title race.
It wasn't just that the Manchester City killing machine scored 3 goals. It was Gundogan, for God's sakes. It wasn't. They've got billions of dollars of attackers, and Gundogan is the one who wins them the title with 2 goals in 5 minutes.
Yeah, and I mean, the crazy thing is too is my curse continues to live because I have trashed Gundogan for being watched both on and off air, and then he's the guy that, of course, seals it for City. So as usual, when you go through these bets, if I trash anybody today, immediately just find ways to bet on them. Just don't even think, just put the money on them.
I think Gundogan scored his first goal to lead the comeback at the exact same minute Son scored his second goal to win the Golden Boot. 2 guys you famously called wash this year on the podcast.
Oh, okay. All right. The Sun one was more in jest, and then we got into that one. But yes, Gundogan I flat out called washed, and he came through big time in just one of the more, it's going to be one of the defining matches of probably this century of football, or this decade of football, I would think. It's wild. I still can't believe it. Exchanging texts with you and all the other soccer buddies during it, it was City's really going to do this. They're really going to blow this. And then all of a sudden it's just, they're cruising to title. It's still mind blowing to me.
Yeah. I can't imagine there's anybody who's actually listening to this right now who falls in this category, but at the end of it, I legitimately felt bad for non-football fans. That experience of watching that 2 hours with the entire league playing at once with so much on the line, and Manchester City leading an absolute comeback for the ages, and Liverpool going full out because they thought they had the thing won. And then, it all slipped away in the last 20 minutes and they couldn't do anything about it because they weren't even playing Manchester City at the time. Watching Burnley hurl themselves at the goal over and over and over again in the last 5 minutes in a complete act of desperation to stay up, and to have all of this happening simultaneously is like the smorgasbord of incredible sport. And then to be done at like 1 p.m. and have the rest of your day with the tingles of what you just witnessed. God bless football. It is the best.
It really is. And I mean, like, the thing I always think about too with Leeds and Burnley kind of duking it out to avoid relegation is, like, just think of that contrast in other sports. It's like the Magic, playing whatever terrible other team you want to throw in there, the Wizards, at the end of the season, the NBA. Like, those games don't matter. The Jets playing the Jaguars, like in week 17, the football season doesn't matter. But here, two bad teams. That game, both those matches were intense. Like, I have nothing invested in either of those teams other than I want to see Jesse Marsh do well, and I am a closet Leeds fan. But like, when Rafinha stepped up to take the penalty to put Leeds up in that match, it was very much like the feeling I had wasn't the same, but it was very much Landon Donovan 2010 stepping up to take the penalty, like, kind of moment, right? And these are just two bad teams, but like, that's how much this shit means. And that's why I can't understand anybody that doesn't want to at least give this sport a try.
Yeah, I mean, there's no real American sport where 70% of the games happening at the exact same time and on one day mean as much as those games did on Sunday. Like, there were serious consequences to 7 of the 10 games, and it would have been 8 of the 10 if Chelsea hadn't already locked up third. I mean, it was just incredible, the intensity and the fact that it's all going on at once. There's just really nothing like it in American sport. So everybody that is listening to the sound of my voice is obviously clearly already on board, but go recruit a friend, go recruit 2 friends during this offseason.
Spread the gospel.
Everybody who's hearing this right now needs to bring somebody into the thing that we love, because there is nothing like it. And it's not over. We still have Saturday. So let us get into a match preview. We have, of course, the Champions League final, the closest thing that football has to a Super Bowl. It's going to be Liverpool versus Real Madrid. It is 3 p.m. on Saturday in Paris. The odds on the match, pool is plus 110. Real Madrid is plus 245. The draw is plus 260. Those are, of course, regular time odds. Pool minus half a goal stays at plus 110. Real plus the draw goes to minus 130. That's with the half goal spread. And then over 2.5 goals is minus 130, and the under is plus 105. So, Brett, I mean, obviously we don't have 5 games to talk about. We just have one. We're going to do this game. We're going to really hammer through it, and then we'll take a break. We'll talk about some Premier League futures and all that sort of stuff. But we have a little bit of time here. We're going to really explore the studio space today on this one matchup. So before I even dive into the way I kind of see this game, I watch Real in the Champions League and in big La Liga games, but I can't say that I'm watching them week in, week out against, lower level La Liga teams. So I think you have a little bit more of a tactical knowledge of the team and definitely an advantage on your picks today. So why don't you share with your listeners a little bit about how Real plays and what you expect to see from them on Saturday?
Well, I mean, I think the names that are, everybody who, even if you kind of casually follow and hop in and out of Champions League, but mostly focus on the Premier League, you're going to still notice a name like Toni Kroos and Luka Modric. But the big driving force behind Real, and, Toby, I am disappointed that you're not watching them play Osasuna on Saturday mornings. But the big driving force behind Real has been Karim Benzema. And Benzema was kind of Ronaldo's Robin for all the years that Ronaldo was at Real Madrid. And this year he has, and it shouldn't be happening. Like, the crazy thing about Benzema is he's 32. We talk all the time about the soccer aging curve being, pretty much you're trending down at 29, 30 already. But Benzema has just defied logic. He has absolutely lit up both La Liga and the Champions League. He is assisting everything. He is scoring everything. Him and Vinicius Jr., as a young 21 Brazilian winger, are basically Madrid at this point. Like, that attack flows through them. And then you kind of have the old stalwarts of Luka Modric and Toni Kroos, who's backed up by defensive midfielder and Casemiro. They brought David Alaba over from Bayern Munich, who's another name that maybe casual fans might mention because he's been on a bunch of very good teams. And so this team is basically spearheaded by two monstrous attacking seasons. Benzema completely defying the age curve, and then Vinicius Jr. kind of ascending into his prime. And those two guys are going to cause problems for Liverpool. Like Benzema has 44 goals and 14 assists across all competitions this year. So you are talking about a guy quite literally having one of the best seasons ever in soccer history. And this dude was an afterthought with Ronaldo. And, here he is in a final. He's got some legal stuff that we shouldn't be like going overboard praising the dude. He's not exactly a saint because he blackmailed a teammate, but he's on an incredible run. And he's been on it. Real Madrid is not in this final without Benzema absolutely going bonkers in the group stages. Like that is kind of the thing they got to walk away with.
Another reason to love soccer. Name another sport where you say things like the best player in the world currently has some legal issues for blackmailing a teammate. This is things that happen in our beautiful game. So I gotta say, I got some biases here. I hate Thibaut Courtois for the way he left Chelsea. And I'll just never root for that dude. But there's some concerning things about Liverpool in this match. Real Madrid wrapped up La Liga so long ago that they've been able to fully cycle through their players, and they're about as rested as they could possibly be all season. And of course, Liverpool has had to go pedal to the metal. Forever. Because since they played every possible match they could play this year, they played in every cup final. They had to play down to the very last day of the Premier League, and they have some injury concerns. As of the time we're taping this Thursday night, I think it is unknown whether arguably their second most key player, maybe third, Salah, Van Dijk, but Thiago is going to be able to go. And you talk on the show all the time, Brett, that if Thiago is not in that midfield, the player slider takes full of force, and Liverpool's a different team. I'm not saying they're a bad team, but they are a different team than when he is playing. And then Fabinho's banged up too. And so, if Fabinho and Thiago are not 100% and can't give it a full go, that completely changes the way this match is going to flow. Luka Modric he's also defying the age curve. He kind of beat Chelsea at the very end almost single-handedly with one of the best assists that you'll ever see. He can absolutely use his experience to dictate the midfield play. Toni Kroos, who you mentioned, another old hand, can definitely use his legs maybe one last time since they've had 30 days off to really get through this. A lot of Real Madrid's players are kind of like guys who used to be starters but are now closers. Like when John Smoltz moved from starter to closer, he couldn't throw 100 or 98 for 9 innings anymore, but he could do it for one. And I think we're going to see the one out of the Real Madrid midfield. So it's really hard to handicap this game on a Thursday night and without knowing if those two players are going to be available. So what are your thoughts on Liverpool's midfield availability? Do you think we're going to see those guys? And how does it affect the way you're about to give your picks?
It's like you hit it right on the head. And, I feel really good about us, props to us. Let's pat ourselves in the back here for talking about the Liverpool midfield constantly throughout the year and just how much it changes the team. And, the interesting, it's going to be an interesting dynamic. If one of Thiago and Fabinho can't go, it's clearly going to influence how you should bet this match. And I have notes against every one of my bets that you're going to hear a lot of, unless he's out or if he's playing. It's interesting because Madrid has also kind of survived with like this bench mob thing that I've heard being tossed around. If you haven't gone back and watched how they got to the final, but you're listening to this podcast, please go back and watch what happened, how they got past City. You should do that to yourself. But they bring off there's two players in particular that they bring off the bench that really help them. And one is Rodrigo, another young Brazilian forward. He's the one that actually scored the goals that propelled them into extra time. And then Benzema's penalty obviously won it for him there. But the other one is Eduardo Camavinga. And Camavinga is
19, right?
Yeah,
19 years old.
So Camavinga is one of the best young players in the world. But soccer has this problem. And in particular, and I'll throw this name out. You remember Isco? Remember when he was like the man? And then he went to Madrid and just disappeared for years. So Madrid in particular and soccer has this problem where like sometimes a lot of the best players don't play. So like to put this in perspective, Luis Diaz who came over to Liverpool in the January transfer window, has played just as many minutes as Camavinga has played for Real Madrid. And Camavinga is legitimately good. This kid is going to be one of the next great midfielders. Obviously, there's a little bit of a problem because he's parked behind Kroos and Modric, who are legends. Casemiro has been the six for Madrid for years. But he comes off the bench and he changes games. He presses well. He carries the ball up the pitch. Like, he's a stud. And Rodrigo's another really good attacker. And he brings on a dynamic too, because typically with the way Madrid's set up is they have Federico Valverde, who's kind of like a midfielder-ish, but they played him as like a defensive winger, in the Jose Mourinho kind of mold. And so usually Rodrigo comes in for Valverde, and that's like a huge defensive forward coming off for like a true attacker coming on kind of thing. And the biggest thing about Liverpool's injuries, when you think about that, is like if Thiago's out or limited, then Naby Keita starts. But then it's like Curtis Jones and James Milner are the guys that are coming into the Liverpool midfield. And like what Milner is doing is amazing, but like, do you really want him playing in a Champions League final? Like Curtis Jones.
Not if you want to win.
Yeah. Curtis Jones, I've compared seriously to Ross Barkley. Toby and I have experience with Ross Barkley, so we can tell you that is not a good thing.
Hey, scored the last goal of the Abramovich era. That's what I remember Ross Barkley for.
There you go. You at least have some fond memories. I mean, there's some goals that Ross had for Everton that were pretty good. But that's going to be a really interesting dynamic. It's like Madrid is going to bring on some guys that are legitimately going to impact the game as subs. And when you start peeling away midfielders from Liverpool, it's going to change the way that their subs impact games, right? Because Naby Keita can come on and he can change them into a more attacking team. And they could do something where they straight up put like Firmino on if Diaz starts, or Jota on if Diaz starts. And then they can just have Thiago and Fabinho act as two holding midfielders and give like nothing up while putting another one of the best attackers in the world onto the pitch. So like all those things go away. That's huge. And it's really made me change my mind. I think Madrid in general, the way they've been so opportunistic and like not being very good up to this point, but let's still being great in like high leverage moments has been impressive. But I kind of was thinking like this is going to be a walk for Liverpool. Like Madrid's overrated, and they have run hot on their underlying numbers. And Benzema alone has run hot, but like Thiago is what makes Liverpool like a city beating title machine. If he's not there, we're just looking at a different team. Still a very good one. Still one very much capable of beating Madrid in this final, but like not the same one.
Yeah. So Champions League finals famously have featured some real lineup surprises. So, I mean, Carlo Ancelotti, I'm not expecting to do anything strange. By the way, Carlo Ancelotti is who Frank Lampard has on his vision board, who he wants to grow into. It's just a great man manager that, tactical. He
rolls guys out there.
Tactical, who knows, but it just goes from like the best team in the world to the best team in the world to the best team in the world and collects trophies. So I think that's what Frank aspires to be. I don't expect any surprises out of him. And I don't know who's going to start up at Klopp for Klopp. You keep saying it's going to be Diaz, it's going to be Firmino, it's going to be Jota. So are you expecting, or are you reading, like you're deeper into the soccer analytics and the Twitter sphere and the bloggers and all that than I am. Are you expecting Klopp or Ancelotti to do anything unusual in their starting lineup?
No, I think Madrid is going to come out in the same 4-3-3 that they have been. I think part of it is they're going to have to, because part of what Valverde is out there for is that defensive cover. Danny Carvajal has been exposed. The right back for Madrid has been exposed in pretty crucial one-on-one moments in some matches. And Valverde is just kind of like a hardworking, midfielder winger type. So I don't really see them changing anything. There's no way that there's an argument that he should, but there's no way that like Kroos or Modric is going to start this game on the bench. Like that's just not happening. Probably same with Casemiro. Like that's just like their guy. Like he's going to go with his workhorses that got him here. But yeah, Liverpool is going to be the interesting one. I think there's an argument to be made when you look at the importance of the first goal in soccer, that if Thiago can't go, I'm guessing that Klopp is going to play it safe and Naby Keita is going to be in the midfield in this place. but like there's probably an argument for Firmino and just going 4-2-3-1 and just
4-2-3-1.
seeing what you can do.
Yeah.
But my guess is that
awesome. That would be so awesome.
It would be great. It would definitely open up the match, and we would probably be looking less at like a 1-1, 1-0 type of outcome to more like 2-2-3-2.
Would Mane play up top of that formation, or would Salah play up top of that formation?
Firmino would probably play as like a 10. Mane would probably play as a striker. I think Diaz has pretty much made himself the clear-cut like third member. Like it is. I think no matter what, we will see Diaz, Mane, and Salah. I think it's going to be, if Thiago's healthy, if his cap is ready, and Fabinho's healthy, it's going to be those two and Hendo in the midfield. And then obviously their normal back line. Although the back line might be another change. Like we could see Konate on there instead of Matip, because Konate is a freak and he covers a ton of ground. And Vinicius Jr. is going to have a lot of one-on-one opportunities against Trent Alexander-Arnold, who isn't, he gets like a terrible, how like he gets a terrible rap. Like he's not a turnstile. He's not a traffic cone out there for Vinicius to run at. But like, yeah, you probably want someone a little more athletic slotted alongside him. Yeah. So there'll be like little stuff like that. And I think Klopp will probably back pocket going with like four of his attackers. So I think that'll be like if they're a down 1-0, if they're down 2-1, I think you're going to see like 4 of their 5 unbelievable attackers out there. But I don't really think there's going to be too many surprises. I think it's going to be dictated 100% by the availability of Thiago and Fabinho. Like
Alexander-Arnold might not be a traffic cone, but he might be that droid in the last Star Wars, which was horrible. That was shaped like a traffic cone on top of a wheel and just kind of wandered around aimlessly. So he has mobility and he could be mistaken for a traffic cone, but he could definitely move around in a random pattern. I'll give him that.
I mean, look, I'm not trying to say that like he shuts down a whole flank at all. I mean, I have lots of Vinicius Jr. bets coming up. So there's gonna be some plays over the fact that like, it's just gonna be one of those fun things. Like this is what I love about like teams that just like know what they're good at and just go after it. Like Klopp isn't gonna play like a defensive winger to help out Trent Alexander-Arnold on the right side with Vinicius Jr. Like he's just gonna play the game of like, my guy's going to create more than your guy, and I love that. Like, I love that setup. Like this isn't going to be Mourinho ball where they're going to set up and like basically play like 4 defensive midfielders on the right side of the pitch to like help them out. This is going to be straight. Like Klopp is going to start his guys. Ancelotti's going to start his guys, and they're going to go toe to toe. And I'm really looking forward to this match because of that.
So Brett, there's a lot of props in this game because it kind of is like the Super Bowl and it's the last meaningful game of the year. So I'm really going to go all out and taking some action on this game. And I have a feeling you probably are too. So, but once I hear all of the props that you like, I'm probably going to know who you're picking for the game and vice versa. So why don't we go ahead and give out who you like for the game?
All right. So I went back and forth on this a ton. This has been, I think this is one of the harder ones to think through and try to come to a conclusion I feel good about. But I finally landed on taking Madrid at plus 150 with the draw no bet because of the fact that both Fabinho and Thiago have muscular injuries. So even if they play, there is still a chance they come off. There is a good chance that Thiago could try to start because it's a Champions League final and his calf goes 15 minutes in. And then not only does Klopp lose a sub, but then we get to that slightly weaker, definitely more exposed Liverpool lineup. So I just think that there's a huge range of outcomes then at that point where this game is 1-1 or maybe 2-2. And I like that you're getting plus money. Then if there's going to be a deciding outcome, it's going to be Madrid.
This is so freaking annoying. I want to delete and start over and go hard on Liverpool just so I can be counter to you. Because what I have in my notes is almost exactly what you just said. It's like our minds have synced up over the period.
Too much, man.
Yeah, this is crazy. The only difference I have is just a matter of betting value. I had the exact same thought process that if those two guys are healthy, I'd be banging Liverpool, no problem whatsoever. I don't know what the odds would be if those guys are healthy, but even if they were minus 120, minus 130, I'd probably be back in Liverpool at that point. And if they both start and they both go the full 90, I would love to get this out of the archive and make those guys my picks. But given the Thiago and given the Fabinho injuries and given Real's attacking firepower and their knowledge and their experience and all those sort of great things, I do not trust the Liverpool midfield without those guys. And the Liverpool midfield is one of the things that makes them special, particularly Thiago. But I'm going all the way just because of the math, right? Like once you have that line of thinking, you more or less have three choices. One is to take them and the draw at -130. One is to take Real and the draw no bet at +150. And one is just to take Real outright at +245. And I'm just going to go all the way because if Thiago and Fabinho don't play, I think this is maybe not an exact coin flip, but 55-45, 60-40, one way or the other. And you're getting great numbers. You're getting +245 on your return for something that's close to even without those two key cogs at full strength. So I definitely looked at the draw no bet at the +150, but the extra kind of 100 points here, when I think that Real has the firepower to make this not close and put the draw in play, is where I'm putting my money. On Thursday night, lineups come out on Saturday morning. I might be placing a different bet.
Different story. Yeah, I mean, look, to kind of echo what you said, if Thiago and Fabinho are healthy, to me, this would bring in a whole different line. I think you could start looking at Liverpool clean sheet bets. I think you can start looking at unders in terms of the total goals. It's just those two are so huge in ways that just stats don't tell. I just think that is, it's just going to be a huge thing whether those guys are going to be at peak performance to how the outcome of this match goes. And more often than not, I mean, this is very back of the napkin math. We got two guys with muscular injuries in a high leverage game. Chances of both of them making it through and being phenomenally effective and at the peak of their game is very, very small in my mind. So with that said, it just changes the whole range of what you're looking at to bet.
Yeah, and it's terrifying thinking of Jordan Henderson out there without Fabinho and Thiago, with Vinicius like running down on him and also trying to cover for Trent Alexander-Arnold. Like, how are they going to dictate play at all in the center of the pitch in that scenario? Like, Real's just going to have an opportunity to overload some of their less stellar defensive players and completely dictate the match on that side of the field.
Yeah, and we talked about too, or when I brought it up earlier, and you're kind of having me give the Madrid preview. There are some bench players on Madrid that are going to change that are going to impact this match as well. And in Camavinga's case, it's going to be with pressing. It's going to be from the heart of the midfield, winning balls back, moving the ball up, getting into dangerous spots, like bringing energy late in the match. Like James Milner isn't doing that. Curtis Jones, the maybe Ross Barkley heir apparent, is also not doing those things. Like, Harvey Elliott looked great, but then he broke his leg and hasn't played all year. So like, there's a ton of unknowns that could be coming off the bench and playing key roles all of a sudden for Liverpool, where Madrid, like, they have it down. They have what they're going to do. There's definitely a lot of power in coming into this match, just knowing exactly what you're going to do. And Liverpool, they have question marks.
So I think we should do the show slightly differently, Brett. Why don't we do our 5-pint now? Because that'll help us get through our favorite props. And then after we do the 5-pint, we can do some of our honorable mentions, the other stuff that we considered. And I'll pick my favorite honorable mention of yours, and you can pick your favorite of mine. How's that sound?
That's good with me, man.
All right. So because I felt like I absolutely had to have action on the overall result, I am going to put 1 pint on Real +245, although it's the least favorite of my 5 bets. The other ones I think are just a little bit more predictable and go into the pattern of play that you and I are discussing. Karim Benzema to get 2 shots on target is +165. He averages over 2 shots on target every single game.
You son of a bitch.
You got that one in yours as well?
Yeah.
All right, well, good for you because you're leading the 5-pint, actually. I guess I should give the results. You are up 2 after Manchester United took a crap on the beautiful game of soccer by not trying their best and getting beat by Crystal Palace, which both of us predicted, but you were smart enough to back. So that puts you up 2 for the month of May going into this final 5-pint. Important note, I'm up 11.5 pints on the year, and Brett is up 8.5 pints on the year. So both of us could get washed in this last 5 pint. We can go over 10, and we still have a positive on the year. So congrats to us. I will drink to that, and I will drink your beer next week.
Well, here's my water right now.
So all right, so it sounds like we both really love Benzema. 2 shots on target. He averages over 2 every game this year. He also averages over 2 just in the Champions League. He's going to be the focal point. Like if they overrun the midfield, as some of us are thinking about, that's the guy they're going to be looking to feed. And nobody is more in form in front of the net in the entire world right now than Karim Benzema. So the fact that you're getting like not just like even odds, but you're getting all the way up to plus 165 for something that's kind of the expected result was crazy to me. So there's a reason I put that one down first. Similarly, the 2 guys that I'm most confident in this game will be out of their mind attacking are Benzema and Salah. Salah looking to revenge 2018 when he had to come off an injury in this very same matchup in the Champions League final. And I expect him to really be giving a crazy hair on fire effort. And both of those guys to only get 1 shot on target is almost even money. It's only minus 120. So those are the 2 guys that I'm most confident will play. I don't need to wait for the lineup to come out. I'm most confident that they're going to be focal points and giving maximum effort. Not that anybody's going to be giving minimal effort in a Champions League final, but these guys have particularly a lot to prove with Benzema going for the Ballon d'Or and Salah, trying to revenge 2018. So I love that number for them both to get shots on target. Before I give my last 2, why don't you give a couple, Brett?
All right. Well, again, everything comes with a disclaimer of watch the starting 11s. So if my boy Naby Keita does crack the starting 11 because Thiago is out or can't start, I actually like, this is going to be my kind of sleeper pick here. He does not shoot the ball well. Naby Keita's thing is not at kicking the ball well towards goal. Yeah. But he averages almost 2 shots a game, and he basically plays as a 10 for Liverpool. So he's going to get shots. So it's just a matter of whether one of his 1.75 shots per 90 somehow finds the goal frame or goes in the back of the net. But he's going to get that shot off. He's going to get maybe 1 to 2, and he's plus 175. So really, you're just going to wonder if you're going to take this bet. It's just all dependent on the accuracy of whether he can hit the fucking goal frame from anywhere around the box or closer to it. So that's actually going to be one of my kind of, ones that I don't think a lot of people are going to be betting, but I do like it. And then you can all watch as he just scuffs the ground before he hits the ball and it just trickles meekly to the touchline.
I can't tell you how much I hate that one.
It's not exciting to bet on Naby Keita to have a shot on target, but I just think the value is there for it. My spreadsheets, Toby, it's my spreadsheets.
Sure.
They tell me, they talk to me. But the other one is this is a Toby special. So I'm going to do 2 pints on this, and I'm going to bet it the Toby way. But Vinicius Jr. is plus 165 to score, and he's plus 450 to assist. And he is going to be incredibly influential. I thought he did pretty well against Kyle Walker, and Kyle Walker's whole shit these days under Pep, as we've talked about on the show, is to shut down counters, to shut down that side of the field. And Vinny did well against him. He didn't dominate him, but he definitely tired him out. He definitely won his fair share of duels. And I'm going to put a pint on each one of those because I think he's going, if there's a goal or 2 by Madrid, he is going to be the guy that's involved in creating it. Maybe you won't, maybe you'll get unlucky and he won't get the assist, but he's going to dribble the ball in the dangerous area. He might play the final pass, or he might be the guy that actually scores it. So I'm going to put a pint on each one of those.
Okay. Is that 5? The shot, Benzema shots on target's the last one?
Well, I mean, the last 2 would be the Benzema shot on target, and then the over of 3.5 if there's no Thiago even in the 18. If he's not in the 18 at all, over 3.5 at plus 190.
This is wild. I don't think we've had an overlap in the five pint like literally all year, and we have 2 in the Champions League final. I also am taking the over of 3.5 goals. This Real team has gone through just hell to reach the Champions League final, and they had to go through PSG, Chelsea, and Manchester City in the knockout round. So now that they're playing Liverpool, They're ranked 6th in the world on 538 SPI, and they are playing 4 of the 5 above them. It's pretty wild. The only one they missed was Bayern. And these games have been the most entertaining crap that you're watching all year in soccer. Like, they are wide open matches with tons of goals. And with the expected absences in the Liverpool midfield, I fully expect them to be the ones who are dictating play. And when they dictate play, it is cocaine football chaos out there. With goals flying all over the pitch. So I looked at both the over of 2.5 and the 3.5, and the odds are just so much better on the 3.5. Over 2.5 goals is minus 130. Over 3.5 goals is all the way up to plus 190. And Brett, take a guess. Well, once I make you guess, you're probably going to know the answer. But in the last 14 finals, how many games have ended with exactly 3 goals? The only thing that would win you on 2.5 and lose you on 3.5.
0? I don't know.
It's only been one. It's only been one. Right. It's only been one in the last 14 Champions League final that landed exactly on 3. So getting such better numbers, and the only number you have to worry about is 3. I'm taking the over 3.5 instead of the over 2.5, and now watch the game end 2-1. We'll put it in the bank, lock it. My last 5 pint is for similar reasons that I was just talking about with Real dictating the game and expecting goals. Both teams to score, yes, is minus 165. So in the last 3 Champions League finals, this bet would have lost, but it would have hit in the 8 before that. And the last 3 are one involved like the Chelsea, Manchester City, defensive masterclass, even though he didn't play a defensive midfielder in Pep last year. Then you have the no crowd, strike it from the record books, basically never happened Bayern PSG final. And for the large part, goals happen in the Champions League final. It's not like even FA Cup finals or a lot of the semifinal matches that we have seen where it's 1-0 grind them out games. For whatever reason, these have been very open and full of a lot of balls in the back of the net. So I thought I'd have to pay more of a VIG than minus 165, but I think it came down because the last 3 it would have lost. And Real, since I think they're going to dictate play, it's important in their 6 knockout games against the aforementioned, 3 of the 5 best teams in the world. 5 of those 6 games, both teams scored. So I like the number I'm getting on this one. I thought I was going to have to pay a lot more.
Yeah, and I mean, the other thing to remember, too, is that both these teams, if they need to chase goals, are very capable of doing it. Like Rodrigo is coming off the bench for Madrid, most likely. And, you have Firmino and Jota that are going to come off the bench for Liverpool. And, those are all really, really good attackers that are going to, help increase the chances of scoring throughout the match. So if you have, a tie match where one team feels like they can try to steal it before going to penalties, then you're going to see these subs that they're going to get real aggressive. If one team is down 2-1 or it's or 1-0, you're still going to have chances. This could be a game with the way that these subs are going to work. This could be a match where there are 2 or 3 goals, in the last 10, 15 minutes of the match. It is very possible that is the outcome here.
All right.
It'll be interesting to see, but I do think that this game could be kind of the thing that breaks these European finals curse here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm expecting an extremely entertaining 2 hours of footy on Saturday afternoon. All right, let's run quickly through honorable mentions. I mean, we just did a heck of a preview on it. That was a lot of gambling talk for the Champions League final. You should be almost fully satiated, but let's go ahead and give you your final dessert here. So do you want to give me your honorable mentions, the other things you considered for 5 pint before you pick 2 that I picked, you copying bastard?
I mean, I kind of like for the assist totals, there's a couple that stood out. Valverde at plus 550. He is going to be playing as a winger, and he is playing across from 2 really good attackers. So I think there's going to be opportunities there, especially with the way that Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold get up the pitch and can get caught up the pitch. There is a chance that he could play the final ball that goes in there. Obviously his numbers are going to be a little bit skewed because he's played kind of all over for Madrid. So if you look strictly at his expected goals and assist totals, it's probably not going to tell the whole story. It's going to just basically be he's playing an attacking position. He's the 3rd attacker, and Liverpool has fullbacks that get up the pitch and are going to leave gaps. And if Thiago is not there to close the gaps, greater chance of that happening. And then speaking of Andy Robertson, his movement, I think, is going to be more effective in creating better chances than Trent Alexander-Arnold. So, when you look at their possibility for assists, Robertson's at plus 300 and Alexander-Arnold's at plus 250. And I think they're both equally likely to probably create a big chance in this match, obviously in different ways. Robertson's going to be the guy that's going to play a 1-2, cut into the box, and then play kind of a cut back across like the 6-yard box. And Alexander-Arnold's going to just play some crazy ball over the top. I just don't see this being a match where Alexander-Arnold's going to have a ton of chances to just sit and play balls over the top because A, if Thiago's there, they're not going to be able to control the game as well. And B, I think this might be just a little more up and down. And that definitely suits like a Robertson style player because he will motor down the fucking pitch, overlap, or cut into the box and then be able to play a cutback. So I really liked him at plus 300. I just kind of couldn't pull the trigger. And then the both teams score. I like that bet as well. And then the final one, it's a little boring because the pricing isn't great. It's minus 125. But again, it's all Vinicius Jr., baby. Minus 125 for a single shot on target. He already averaged a shot on target. We've talked about the matchup between him and Trent Alexander-Arnold, the one-on-ones. Very, very likely he does some cool shifty shit and gets a shot off and puts it right on the goal frame. So I like that one. Just the pricing wasn't super sexy, so I kind of faded away from it.
All right, my favorite one is Vinicius Jr. at the end, although TA is also on my list. So I'm going to give more picks but less analysis just so we can move this along. But I do like the Vinicius Jr. one quite a bit. TAA assist is on my page, not because of the reasons that you were talking about, but just because I think he's going to handle set pieces. And this absolutely feels like a goal that could leak, or a game that could leak a goal from a set piece and could be decisive. I mean, we've seen that in a lot of Champions League finals where it comes down to that. Modric plus 500 to get an assist. I just like the number, and I think he's going to have a lot of opportunities to play really incisive, smart balls over the top and see who can run onto them. And also just, he's kind of a big game player throughout at least his 30s. I can't even remember his 20s. They were so far long ago. Real to score first plus 115. Just if Thiago and Fabinho aren't out there, then I do definitely like them to score first. And even if they are, I expect Real to start more on their front foot and really prod and test those guys to see where their health's at. Tie. So tie at the half, tie at the end of the half. I just like the number. It's plus 475. If you like the draw, I like the draw in both places because I think it could easily be 0-0 or 1-1 at the half. And then if you like the draw at plus whatever it was, 260, I'd rather get the plus 500 for the tie at the end of both periods in regulation. Real over a goal and a half is plus 160. Real over 2.5 is plus 550. If you really think they're going to get loose out there, those are both really good numbers. Benzema to score in the second half, plus 300. It's been his specialty in this Champions League run. Really dramatic late game goals that changed the entire landscape of the outcome. He's just done it over and over again. So I like that number. Crazy one, Salah to score in the first 15 plus 1,000. Just again, a huge number for a guy who's going to come out with his hair on fire. And then let's see here, just at the very end here, Pool to win from behind plus 700. If you think Real might score first, but you still like Pool overall in the match, plus 700 is a hell of a number. Total corners over 9.5.
I was going to say waiting for total corners, but I knew that was coming.
Minus 120. Strangely though, in these crazy Champions League games Real's been playing, that bet has hit less than half the time. So I actually think it's the right number and why it's not in the 5 pint. I thought when I looked back at those games, there were a lot more corners, but just a lot of goal action. And then the final three, Courtois to take a card plus 1,000. If you think he might get one for time wasting at the end of the game. Allison plus 1,200 to take a card. If you think he might get one for time wasting at the end of the game. This is kind of like when you bet the Super Bowl MVP and you don't want to take a quarterback. Just if you think you know the outcome of the game and you want to get like a pretty awesome number, both of those guys could easily take a time wasting card if they're trying to lock up a 1-goal victory. And the very last one, and my favorite of these, and the one that almost made it in, was Jordan Henderson to take a card at plus 400. You really think that there's a 1 in 5 chance that he's not going to grab Vinicius Jr. from behind as he runs past him? I love this bet. I love him basically tackling Vinicius Jr. as he is just sprinting down the sideline, blowing past TAA, and Henderson has to take a professional foul to stop a break that he creates because he is a one-man juggernaut when it comes to blowing past guys out on the wing and creating advantageous opportunities versus the keeper. So that was a lot. Do you have a favorite among those?
It's more the one that I didn't hear, and that was Eden Hazard last score at plus 850. Where was that on your list? Did I miss it? Did you?
I don't know. I think he took Esco's locker and disappeared right into it, just like he did.
No, I think most of those are solid. The one I actually wanted to throw out too, and I think this is one where you want to take this bet, and then you are going to talk shit to your friends for the rest of your betting career. You can never win another bet, but it'll seem brilliant. Rodrigo is plus 1,100 to score, and there is the opportunity for him to come in as a sub, and subs do score goals at higher rates than starters. It's statistically proven. He's plus 1,100. That would be a bet that you make and you hit it. You are just, you can talk shit for the rest of your betting life. You can lose thousands of dollars. You can lose your fucking house. But when you take a sub to score as the last scorer and hit it, you're just immune.
You can lose your house. You can lose a 5-pint pickoff. I mean, whatever you want. Like, you would be beating me on this year if you didn't take so many damn fullbacks to score anytime goals.
That's right. It's the long game. We talked about it as a variance. I'm going to keep taking center backs to score, and next year I'm going to hit like 3 of them, and we'll be up like 50 pints within the first 2 months.